So if we have any questions, we'll do that. But all right. Well, let's get started. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about how we can nourish our way to wellness. And this is a topic that I am super passionate about because nutrition has literally changed my life as well as the lives of my clients. And so I would love to know if you want to drop it in the chat, one word that describes how you currently feel about your own health journey. Drop that in the chat as we get started. Because I want to talk about how we can really unlock. Yeah, it's often a slow journey for sure. But we can unlock really the direction of that journey. We can unlock so much when we look at nutrition, when we can personalize that, and when we can incorporate that with a holistic view of our health. And so we want to just jump in and say, how can we nourish our way to wellness? How can even our lab results show us what we need in order to get healthy? And I love this quote by Dr. Mark Hyman. The power of functional medicine is that it gets to the root cause of disease rather than just treating the symptoms. I know it has probably taken you a little bit to get to functional medicine versus more contemporary allopathic medicine. Um, Tell me maybe what brought you here, because I'm going to share a little bit about what brought me to functional medicine. Oftentimes we seek out those options because we've seen people who are just treating the symptoms rather than the root causes. I know that was my story. So if we haven't met before, I'm Judy and I am an entrepreneur. I'm a teacher. I am a coach. I'm a health enthusiast, but it wasn't always that way. And I am a wife. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary this week. I am mom to four and mom to five adorable granddaughters. And you know what? Being able to leave that legacy of health is a passion of mine because I don't want my kids and my grandkids struggling in the same ways that I have, in the same ways that so many people have struggled. So I was not always a health enthusiast. In fact, I struggled with my health pretty much off and on my whole life. And then at 40, the unthinkable happened. I was hit head on by a drunk driver in a high speed collision. I suffered a traumatic brain injury. I became a power wheelchair user. I lost the use of the right side of my body. I lost my cognitive abilities such that I didn't even know what the numbers on the digital clock meant. I was unable to communicate for many years. In fact, I had to use a text to talk app. So I would swipe it in on my phone, um, and then it would speak out loud to my family and friends or physicians. And it was very challenging. And, conventional medicine had very limited things to offer. Their solution was medication and more medication and more medication. Maybe you can relate to that, because they told me that I would never recover. That what I was left with at the 1 year mark was what I was left with for life. And that there was nothing that I could do about it. And yet, it wasn't until at the 6 year mark, I wasn't seeking a solution to my brain injury, to be perfectly honest. That was kind of, well, it's not going to happen because that's what conventional medicine told me, is that it's just not going to happen. And we went in search of an answer to pain. My pain was excruciating. And my husband was afraid to go over bumps in the road on the way to physical therapy. We sought out three different experts in their fields to say, hey, what can we do about this pain? And they all said, hey, we know you're not drug seeking. Have a pill. Have a pill? I didn't want a pill. In fact, I was already on 70 something pills a day and I didn't want another. I had already been hospitalized twice with life threatening complications of those drugs. I didn't want another one. And so I asked them, like, hey, isn't there anything else I can do? Can I do more therapy? They said, no, you're already in therapy 3 to 5 days a week. You don't need more therapy. I was like, well, what about my environment? Isn't there something that I can do there? And they said, nope, you have a great husband, which is absolutely true, but didn't have to do with my environment in a lot of ways. And they said, like he's got you set up for everything you need. I said, well, isn't there anything that I can do with food, with nutrition, with what I'm eating, either what I'm not eating or what I am eating that I could change and that could help? And they flat out told me no. But the way they told me would change my life because they said there's nothing that can go through your mouth and digestive system that can have this level of effect on your global pain. So you just need to take the prescription. I remember getting in the car, my husband loading me in the car. We often referred to me as if I was a package to be loaded in or unloaded from the car. Um, and as he had put me in and then was loading the wheelchair, I was frantically swiping on my phone so that I could talk out to him as he got in. And I remember exactly what I said that day. I said, I may have a brain injury, but I'm not stupid. I know that medicine has to go through my mouth and digestive system, and they expect it to have an effect on my global pain. There has to be something else that will work. Maybe you can relate, like being to that point, like there has to be something else. And what they're recommending isn't making sense for giving me healing. And I asked him, like, hey, will you help me? Well, of course he was going to help me. He had already been helping me for 6 years. Of course he was going to help me. And so we dramatically changed everything I was eating literally overnight. We took out inflammatory foods. We put in really great phytonutrient rich foods. And we focused on the nutrition that I was getting. And I want to tell you that literally within weeks, my pain went from so excruciating that my husband was afraid to go over bumps in the road to almost non existent. Shocking. I was shocked. I was shocked. I didn't even think that was possible. And yet, really, all that nutrition just kept building and building and building. And I started changing, things in my environment, whether that was removing toxins or other things like that. And I want to tell you, at 6 years and 8 months, July 6th, 2019, I took my first steps. Just 6 years and 8 months in a power wheelchair. And so I want to tell you healing is absolutely possible. 100% absolutely possible. There are challenges that you may encounter. Maybe you could drop in the chat. What's a challenge that you've faced while seeking out alternative health solutions? Because there's definitely challenges, but one of the things I want to do today is kind of eliminate some of those roadblocks that are in your way and talk about some of the things that you can incorporate that could help you and things that can help give you clues as to what is going on in your body. So tell me, yeah, exhausting all their options, right? Going to doctors and they're like, oh, I don't have any more options, right? Knowing who to trust, that's an amazing one. Running out of finances, for sure. And there's so many things that we can do. And that's one reason why I love the topic of nutrition, because there's so many things that we can do that are just simple swaps, or bring in this type of food, take out this kind of food. And it doesn't have to be overwhelmingly expensive. In fact, a Harvard study said that it's like less than $1 difference per day to eat high quality organic foods versus junk food. That's crazy to me. But I think oftentimes people want to add in those good foods to their existing terrible foods. And so that's why they think it's more expensive. But if we just swap it out, it's not really that much. But let's see, like, hey, what can we do? This is one of my favorite quotes ever from Dr. Jill Carnahan. Incurable doesn't mean healing is not possible. It simply means there is not a drug that reverses the condition. There's not a drug that reverses the condition. This is the medical definition of incurable, my friends. The medical definition. It just means there's not a drug that reverses the condition. But that leaves wide open the field of what else we can do. I want you to take my client, Kate, for example. Doctors have diagnosed her with stage 4 kidney disease. Stage 4. That's one stage away from dialysis. They told her the best that she could do was to put off the inevitable dialysis for as long as she could. Enter coming to see me and making some nutrition and lifestyle changes. After 3 months, doctor said, "Oh, wow, you're at a stage 2. And, we don't understand what's going on, but keep doing what you're doing." And 1 year later, Kate's labs came back showing no evidence of kidney disease. That's a stage 4 to no evidence of disease in 1 year. How is this possible? Well, while doctors can't explain it, I can, because food is medicine. It's not just prevention, it's medicine. There are so many incredible benefits to the foods that God has given us. And with Kate, as well as with all my clients, I emphasize the importance of nutrition for this reason. In our society, if you talk about nutrition, people are like, "Oh, yeah, that's great for prevention." But we don't think about what is in these foods that could actually help heal us. In fact, a lot of prescription medications were originally based off of herbs, spices, foods, and those sorts of things before they shifted over to chemical components. And so nutrition is of the utmost importance. And I know Dr. Jamie Lee is going to discuss nutrition, information for your cells, inflammation, in just a couple of sessions from now, and how to heal your inflammation from the inside out. That's absolutely critical, because inflammation is a root cause of all disease and all dis-ease. So you want to make sure that you listen to her session as well. But let's think about it. What kind of foods might you want to include? Now, keep in mind, it's all going to vary from person to person, because you are a bio individual, right? You are biologically unique. Every cell in your body is just as unique as your own fingerprints. Okay. So keep that in mind. But I'll share with you some of my favorite powerhouse foods. Okay. Beets, for example, are rich in nitrates, not the chemical added nitrates, which we're told to avoid, but the natural nitrates, which can actually help lower our blood pressure. They can improve our cardiovascular health. They contain antioxidants that have anti-inflammatory properties and can be protective against oxidative stress. They're a great source of folate, which is essential for DNA synthesis and repair. And you can get some of these foods as supplements, right? So there's like beetroot capsules and those sorts of things. But you could actually just eat the delicious beets as well. We don't have to buy supplements for some of these things. I love that you are loving beets, Kimberly. I love them too. And prior to my journey into nutrition and health, I always thought of beets as the pickled beets in the jar, which were not my favorite, though they are a favorite of my husband's. But now I love a good roasted beet. It's one of my favorites. Broccoli is another amazing powerhouse, and it contains sulforaphane, which actually has anti-cancer properties, and it supports your detoxification pathways. Um, some doctors recommend that you have a form of cabbage, so something from the cabbage family, broccoli, cabbage, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, something like that every day because it's just so important for detoxification. You can actually, yes, you can have roasted, canned beets. You can have all sorts of beets, raw in salads. So beautiful, beautiful vegetables. Broccoli is also high in vitamin C. We often think of only citrus fruits as high in vitamin C, but broccoli is very high in vitamin C, which will support your immune system. It also helps you to boost your own collagen production for healthy skin and nails and hair. It has vitamin K, which is important for bone health, for blood clotting, so that it will clot appropriately, and for directing nutrients as to where to go in the body. Vitamin K is, I like to call it the traffic director, right? It can tell your calcium to go to your bones and go to your teeth instead of creating calcifications in your arteries or in your lungs or in your heart or plaques in your brain. So that vitamin K that's from natural sources is so important. Grapefruit is super high in vitamin C, again, um, and it contains a flavonoid that may have anti-inflammatory properties, and it's also beneficial for cholesterol lowering properties. Some medications may say that you can't take grapefruit while you're taking them, and you might have to ask yourself why, right? Grapefruit's also been known to aid in weight management because it helps to reduce insulin resistance. So, a real powerhouse that we need because so much, roughly half of our population has diabetes or is on the pathway to diabetes, whether that is through insulin resistance or pre-diabetes. And so working on your cells' abilities to properly handle insulin is so important. Salmon, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, it's anti-inflammatory. It's amazing for your brain, amazing for your heart. It's a good source of vitamin D, which isn't actually a vitamin. It's a neurohormone. And as a neurohormone, it's so important for your bone health, for your immune function, for your mood regulations, for your cognitive focus. Think ADD, ADHD, autism, brain fog, all those sorts of things, and can really help protect you against oxidative stress and inflammation. Spinach is high in magnesium. It's essential for energy production and muscle functioning and nerve signaling. Some people may find that various forms of magnesium can bother them, but we can eat foods that are high in magnesium, right? It also contains lutein and other antioxidants that can support your eye health and may reduce macular degeneration. Also helpful for iron levels in your body. Blueberries, one of my favorites, they might as well be called brain berries. They are amazing antioxidants that protect against oxidative stress, inflammation, and cognitive decline. And so, just a real powerhouse is in that little blueberry. Um, they contain prebiotic fibers that help your digestion and promote the good gut bacteria. They also can help improve your insulin sensitivity, help manage your blood sugar levels. And so, as you can see, I mean, this is just a handful of foods, but if we incorporate a variety of nutrient dense foods into our diets, we can really support our body's natural healing processes, and we may even be able to address specific chronic health issues because let's face it, you are designed to heal. Your body is designed to heal. It just needs the right support in order to do so. So, what you always want to do is make sure that you're choosing a rainbow, right? We've heard it said to choose the rainbow. And as you can see in this picture, there's so many bright colors because that indicates the level of phytonutrients. And we want to make sure we get high quality proteins. We want to get healthy fats. Your brain needs fat. Fat doesn't make you fat. That is a huge myth, but your brain needs fat in order to function. And having a wide variety of foods is going to give you a broad spectrum of beneficial nutrients. And so we want to make sure that we are getting it all in. In fact, Dr. Mark Hyman says that food is not just calories, it's information. It talks to your DNA, to your body on that very base level and tells it what to do. The most powerful tool to change your health, your environment, and your entire world is your fork, right? So tell me what your favorite nutrient dense food is. And if you know it, what's the benefit that it provides for you? Because food is information. Okay. And when we think about that and we think about its ability to tell our body what to do, we have to understand that our body is constantly regenerating cells. We know that at some level, right? We know that we're constantly regenerating bone cells and blood cells and skin cells. But what we don't often think about is that we're also regenerating brain cells, liver cells, lung cells, heart cells, neuron pathways, kidney cells, like all sorts of things. Our body's just constantly regenerating cells. And studies have shown that in a matter of 7 years, every cell in your body has been replaced, every single cell. And so while you might not have a new body by Friday, you will just keep building over time and replace these cells and continue to build your health. It's just so important to keep thinking that, hey, it's not happening today, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen because we're just continuing to regenerate healthy cells. But in order to do that, we have to have the food that's nutritional information for our cells. It changes our DNA and it tells it what to do. And so it's super important that we understand that. Sulfur rich foods is a great one. It removes estrogen buildup and it helps prevent those hormonal cancers. It's great for your brain. I mean, sulfur rich foods are just an incredible powerhouse. They've actually been found to be extremely influential for those with autism and for those with toxic overloads and even things like vaccine injuries or other things that have affected your body's ability to process. In order to detox from that, sulfur rich foods are just an incredible power that God has given to us in a delicious form at that. So we want to keep going with that. And when we think about some examples of sulfur-rich foods, you're going to be looking a lot at the cabbage family. They're rich in those sulforaphane. So broccoli or even broccoli sprouts. Sprouts are fantastic. Cabbages, Brussels sprouts, anything like that that is going to kind of be in that sulfuric type thing. Eggs can actually contain sulfur, and those can be a real powerhouse as well. And so when we bring those in, it really helps to boost us up because lifestyle plays a tremendous role in our body. And I love this. I saw this said, and it's just so true. If your doctor is prescribing you medication without asking you about your diet, your sleep, your exercise routine, your water consumption, and the stress in your life, you don't have a doctor. You have a drug dealer because your lifestyle plays such a powerful role. While genetic factors can influence our susceptibility to chronic lifestyle conditions, research consistently demonstrates that lifestyle and environmental factors have a more significant impact on your overall risk. In fact, the CDC estimates that less than 10% of all chronic health issues and diseases are attributed to genetic issues. Less than 10%. That means we have 90% control, right? Lifestyle, physical environment, social environment, nutrition, even medical care, such as just pursuing your health, play a much larger role and can actually turn on and off your gene expression. I know later today, Kate Simpson is going to be talking about the effects of emotional baggage on our health. And I know Jody Solberg, for example, has a huge collection of resources here at AHS on how our words and our thoughts influence our physical and our emotional health. And not even just the words that other people say to us, but the words we say to ourselves. And so we need to look at how all of our lives affects our health. I like to say the food on my plate is actually my secondary nutrition. So what's the primary? The primary nutrition is going to be your those other things that really fuel you in a different way, but they often drive what's on your plate. So think relationships, right? If you're stressed out over relationships, it might change the food that's on your plate. um, or are you getting really nourished by those? And so, it just changes things. Maybe it is your occupation or your financial status. Maybe it's your creativity or your spiritual life. Maybe it's your home environment, whether it's organized or cluttered. Maybe it's your ability to physically move and how frequently you do that. There's all these other things that really play into your health, and that really is your primary nutrition, which is why we have to look at your lifestyle as a whole and not just the food that is on your plate. We often think of things like chemicals as being toxic in our life, right? But probably the most common toxin for everyone is stress. Stress, that word makes you tight, doesn't it? On a scale of 1 to 5, tell me in the chat, how well do you feel like you manage stress? With a 5 of being like, stress is not a problem for me. And 1 is my stress is out of control. Well are you managing your stress? Um, because as Dr. Jeffrey Bland said, the way you live your life, the food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe, the thoughts you think, and how you manage your stress all contribute to your state of health. And yes, a 1.5 to 2, right? I think that's a pretty common number. People are like, oh, I'm so stressed. It's almost a badge of honor here in the United States. Like, oh, I'm so stressed. How are you today? Oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I'm busy. Right. But it's not ideal because stress can affect your hormones, your blood sugar regulation, your digestion, even the acidity of your blood. I see many clients with blood that is more acidic than it should be, which actually means that your internal organs aren't getting the best blood that they need in order to do their job. How can I tell that? Well, through functional blood chemistry is what I use. And functional blood chemistry analysis is an invaluable tool, really, for personalized health. It gives us perspective, bioindividuality is reaffirmed, it can give us direction, and it can really lead us to healing. But I really think that the most important word there, if I had to rank them, would be perspective. And the definition of perspective is the capacity to view things in their true relations or relative importance. And that's so true because when you look at something, you have to say, how does this fit into the picture? Where are we going from here? How important is this aspect? I like to tell clients as I'm doing their results with them, like, hey, if we line up everything as dominoes, what are the first 2 or 3 things that we need to tackle? And then if we tackle those things, the rest of things are going to start falling into place because your body is one. You are created as one unit. It's not like you've got a hand over here and an eye over here and they never talk to each other, right? Your whole body communicates, your whole body gets the same blood. And so we want to say, like, hey, what can we do? We also want to recognize that you are a bio individual. I touched on that earlier, but what that means for you and how that relates to your symptoms could be very different than how it relates to someone else. And so there's going to be a little bit of flexibility, but we want to say, like, hey, how is this affecting you? in your life and how you are feeling. Um, when we know what's wrong, we have that direction to tell how we can remedy that situation. And healing takes time, but it's absolutely possible. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm walking, talking proof of that. To go from someone who couldn't walk and couldn't talk to where I am today, and not even just being able to walk and talk, but I went from not knowing what the numbers on a digital clock meant to going back to school and getting my postgraduate certification in biochemistry. I mean, talk about a huge leap. Healing is absolutely possible. And I just want to encourage you in that. When we look at conventional lab interpretation, most labs simply look at each result independently. So we're just looking at your sodium, we're just looking at your potassium, we're just looking at your total cholesterol, we're just looking at your estrogen, we're just looking at X, Y, or Z, right? And then they flag each of those results independently if it's high or low. But you need to know that's based on a bell curve. We all remember the bell curve from high school, right? You were punished if you were at the top or the bottom. Everybody else was normal, right? And so, unfortunately, this means that we have to be in the top 2.5% or the bottom 2.5% to be labeled or diagnosed as having an issue. But that doesn't mean that you're not having problems. I mean, let's say this is a scale of 20 to 100. Does that mean if you're at 21 that you're not having problems? That you're not having symptoms? Many doctors would say, oh, we're just going to take a wait and see approach, right? Which just leaves you waiting for your dysfunction to develop into a full blown disease until something happens. Literally had a client who was at a 21, where the normal range was 20 to 100, was at a 21. And a doctor said, well, I'm not alarmed yet, so we'll just wait and see. Not alarmed yet. Wait and see. Why do we have to wait until we're alarmed to take action? That shouldn't be necessary. We should be like, hey, we're clearly trending in the wrong direction. Let's see what we can do to move it back. And that's what we do with functional blood chemistry. It really becomes a roadmap that guides us to the root cause of disease. Because functional blood chemistry analysts like myself are going to look at the same results, but through a tighter, more optimal lens, right? We don't look at them just independently. We're not looking at just your sodium. We're not looking at just your sodium and being like, oh, you need to have more salt or less salt. But we look at it in relationship, right? Because if I say, let me look at your sodium in relationship to your potassium, in relationship to your carbon dioxide, then we can start saying, like, hey, how are your adrenals working? Oh, you didn't know that your sodium related to how your adrenals were working? This is the secret and the power of functional blood chemistry, because we are able to see how how the functions of your organs are working within your body, because we know, remember that course, that postgraduate certification in biochemistry, which organs use which chemicals in your body, which electrolytes, which hormones, which vitamins, and then what do they put out as a result. And when we look at it in this perspective, we can see, okay, well, this coming in is a little off, but going out, it's okay. So my organ is, compensating for that. Or maybe it's coming in normally, but what's going out is off, right? So then we know that that organ is struggling. Um, but we want to be able to say what's actually going on in your body. And we want to not compare to everyone who has ever taken the test, right? We want to say, let's compare it to people who are in optimal health, the prime of life. No diseases, no symptoms, no medications, no complaints. Because that's my goal when it comes to my health. My goal is not just to be like everybody else. My goal is to be in an optimal range. And if I'm outside of that, I don't necessarily need a label. I just need to know, how can I get back to optimal? And that's what I do as a functional blood chemistry analyst. And if we say perhaps your level is too high, and the same will happen if it's too low, but if it's too high, why is something too high? Is it because you have too much intake? Is it because your body is absorbing too much of it? Is it because your body is not getting rid of it appropriately? And on the flip side, if it's too low, does that mean that you're not getting enough in your body? Does it mean that you're not able to absorb it? Does it mean that you're getting rid of it too quickly? You're excreting it too fast? We need to look at all of those things before we just hand out a supplement or give a pill. And so, this is one way that functional blood chemistry can really give you answers as to what's going on. So, in the chat, tell me what is one thing that you think that your FBCA might reveal about you. What does it say? I'm curious as to your guesses. I love that you're loving this because I love it. I am super passionate. God has created our bodies in a just phenomenal, amazing, intricate way. And I love doing deep dives with my clients to figure out what is going on and how. How is it going on? What can we do to support it? Are there certain foods that we want to really encourage in the diet? Are there supplements that you may or may not need? I'm not affiliated with any supplement company. And so I feel free to be like, hey, this is what it is. I'm not getting a kickback, unlike certain practitioner offices that might get a kickback if you are on a certain prescription medication, right? Um, yeah, guessing that your B vitamins might be off. It's very common. And the sources of those B vitamins is super important. Getting it from food is ideal. And sometimes we might need to supplement for a while until we can get our body up to a really good level. But the goal is never to be on anything long term, even supplements, right? We want to be able to get that nutrition from our food. And you're right, hope is such a powerful thing. It's the one thing that I am the most committed to because hope was the one thing that I needed the most. And no one can give it to me. And so I am really passionate about being able to give people hope. And that's one reason why I am a functional blood chemistry analyst and why I look at it as detective work. Because so many of my clients go from doctor to doctor to doctor with no real answers. And some of them are just dismissed or made to feel like they're hypochondriacs. And so I like to look at, what do your current labs say? What are your current symptoms? Well, what is the history of your labs? What is the history of your health and your symptoms? Maybe what medications are you on? Are they causing side effects? Are they maybe causing false flags in your blood work? Are they causing actual struggles? It's not uncommon um, for medications to cause your liver or kidney enzymes to be off. And that's not because that it's a false flag. It's actually because it's making your kidney and liver work harder. And so we want to make sure that it's like, hey, what can we do to support that? Because you may need to be on a medication for a while, but we want to support your kidneys and support your liver so that they can process this and keep up with it. But I want to remind you that you are the expert on your body. You are. Nobody else is. You are the expert on your body. You have lived there your entire life. Your entire life. And so no one should be dismissing you, especially not after a 10-minute appointment, right? You're the expert. And I want you to meet Jackie. Jackie came to me after being on disability for over a decade. She had chronic debilitating pain. She had constant migraines. She could only walk with a cane. In fact, in this picture, she's like leaning up against this truck to get her picture taken. She was really unable to serve her family like she wanted to. She was unable to play with her children and with her grandchildren. And she literally came to me and told me I was her last ditch effort. Someone had referred her to me, and she was like, I feel like I don't have another choice. So I'm just going in on it. We worked together, and I want you to meet Jackie of today. She's actually back to work after 14 years on disability. Her husband messaged me to thank me for giving him his wife back again. And her daughters actually messaged me to say, I've never seen my mom like this ever. And I'm in my 20s. It's just it's just phenomenal to see going from, walking with a cane, being on a couch, and being in a chair all the time to look at her carrying her grandson around on her back. It's just amazing. And now back to work. Couldn't love this anymore. And this is why I do what I do, because it gives people the freedom that they need to live the life that God has called them to live. And so, if you're ready to uncover the hidden clues in your blood work and create that personalized path, I think that an FBCA could very well be the guide to your healing strategy, because once you know what's going on, the path to healing really does become clear. And we can create protocols that actually target your own personal needs and give you personalized advice based on the way that your body is functioning. It's super important to work with someone who's knowledgeable, though. I want to emphasize that because I've literally seen posts in practitioner groups that say things like, oh, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. What? I don't want that when it comes to my healthcare, right? I want someone who knows what they're doing. And I can tell you that as a practitioner who did over 700 functional blood chemistry reports last year alone, I can assure you that I am most certainly not flying by the seat of my pants. It's important to have practitioners on your team of all levels that you know and trust, ones that you know are going to support you as an individual on your healing journey. And the future of medicine is personalized. Your body holds the answers. And so we want to decode them together so that we can understand what are your unique needs. How can we create a targeted plan to help you heal? These are the things that we need to do. And so then we can take action, right? I've created a PDF that will explain some more about how to take control of your health by understanding your labs. And in it, I recommend a lab panel that you can use in order to take to your doctor. And I will drop that link in the chat here. Let me see. Because I think it's super important that you get the right labs taken, and it doesn't have to be super expensive, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I can get very solid information out of very basic labs. And yet, if you look at that and you're like, I'm not sure if this panel is what I need, it's a good panel that will give a lot of information. But if you're currently experiencing issues and you want to make sure that it covers your needs, all you have to do is message me. I'm involved at the AHS platform. I'd be happy to recommend a custom panel for you based on what you are going through. And then we can say like, hey, what will work for you? But it's really important to have a collaborative care approach, and to build a supportive healthcare team so that you have a ton of resources for you. And we've got a lot of that right here at AHS. Oh, that link doesn't work. Oh, goodness. Hold on. I'll get it for you in just a second. And I'll also give you a link to join here at Alternative Healthcare Solutions, because We have so many resources here. And if you haven't joined already, I'd love it if you would join us on a regular basis, get that ongoing support. You can actually have the opportunity to chat with practitioners themselves. You can have access to all of our prior workshops and videos and things like that. And so it can be incredibly helpful to join that. So here, try that one. Oh, and thank you, Jamie, for dropping in the one to join AHS, because I just think it's so important that you have the support and the team around you to get what you need and to get the understanding. And if you use this link to join AHS, you'll get your first month absolutely free. And it's only $35 a month to have access to so many practitioners. And it's just something that we need. We need the information. We are responsible for taking charge of our own health care. And the journey is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like I said, you're not going to have that new body by Friday, but we can absolutely make progress over time. But it's going to require patience and perseverance and a willingness to make changes in your life, right? So tell me in the chat, what's one step you're going to take after this workshop to move forward in your health journey? Because I want to cheer you on, really. It's something that we should all come together for. Maybe you want to include a new food. Maybe you want to get an FBCA done. You're going to eat more broccoli. I love that. Um, Maybe it's I'm going to make sure that I have a health team around me that is supportive of me as a bio individual and not worry about doctors who don't take me seriously, because you should have a team that respects you. And the most important thing you can do for your health is to take responsibility for it. Educate yourself. Find a team of experts support you. Never give up on your wellness. Stop guessing. Start thriving. You're welcome to schedule a free, no pressure consultation with me so that we can design a wellness strategy that will work for you. And I seriously mean no pressure. I don't respect high pressure sales, and so I just don't do it. Um, I am here to encourage you. And so, whatever I can do, I am here for that. And while we're here, feel free to type your biggest remaining question in the chat and I'll do my best to answer it. Remember, there's not a silly question. This is your health. And so take advantage of the time today to ask questions about your health. Take advantage of alternative healthcare solutions. Go seek out things that will support you. Take advantage of me. Schedule a time to talk to me. Schedule a time for us to look over your labs together. Get the information of what labs you need to ask your doctor to run. And if they won't run them, send me a message, because I can order labs as well if you're wanting to pay out of pocket. Or I can even write a letter to your physician to request that they run the labs and work collaboratively with me on that. So, whatever we can do, take the steps, take responsibility, because you are important. So, if you have questions, drop them here and I'd be delighted to answer them. I know we've got another session coming up in a few minutes um, with Kate, but I'm happy to take time to answer questions between now and then. Absolutely, Jody. I mean, there's so many ways, and you are an amazing practitioner here. And, like I said earlier, to be able to look at our environment and even the words that are said to us, the words that we say to ourselves, just so important in how we're functioning. Yes, there is an option. Look at the science. You're not making it up. It's not all in your head. It's just not. It's actually in your body. It's in how your body is responding. Um, and yeah, simple, healthy recipes. I'll throw some up on the AHS site for sure. I like to often start with a whole foods approach. So I know that there are a lot of those that say, hey, can I take these ingredients? Can I build on them? Can I do these things and swap things in and out so that it can be very bio individual? But that's a great question. And I would be delighted to throw some resources and some recipes up on the AHS site. And obviously, you could feel free to message me directly as well. And I'd be happy to share some of those with you because God created food to be nutritious and delicious. He gave us taste buds for a reason, and I'm so glad that He did, right? Because it's just important. Food fuels us in a lot of ways, it fuels ourselves, but food is also connection. Um, First foods to include, I would say always start with fruits, vegetables, vegetables even more so. They've got so many phytonutrients. A wide variety is going to be your best bet. And look, I understand chronic health conditions. Sometimes we're exhausted and we're like, oh my gosh, you mean I have to prep all that? You can buy frozen foods. Oftentimes they're frozen in the field, flash frozen in the field. And so sometimes they actually have more nutrients than the fresh food that you get at the store that's been sitting in a package for weeks on end to get to you. And so frozen foods that are already cut up, you can get fresh foods that are cut up in your grocery store. Some of them you can like throw in whole, like throw in a whole sweet potato. No big deal, and so I would definitely say start with the vegetables. I like to encourage people make half your plate to three-quarters of your plate vegetables and then add good quality protein sources. You need protein. Your muscles need the protein, your brain needs the protein, you need fat. Don't be afraid of fat. Avocados are great fat. Coconuts, a lot of people can handle them, some people cannot, but coconut oil and coconut is great fat. So fish is great with some essential fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines, those tiny little fish that you can get, and you can throw them in. Um, it's just a powerhouse. So yeah, um, started oil every morning and you feel different. Yeah. Um, Avocados, avocado oil, olives, olive oil, coconuts, coconut oil. It gives your body nutrients, but a lot of people think like, oh, I need to reduce the cholesterol and therefore I need to reduce the fat. But cholesterol actually manufactures the myelin sheaths around your nerves. So for those people who have problems with neuron pathways, whether that's brain and cognitive focus or maybe nerve transmission through your body, whether that's hypersensitivity, whether that's a lack of response, oftentimes you need more fat, more cholesterol in order to protect those myelin sheaths and get that nerve transmission. B vitamin's great for nerve transmission as well. And so it's just super important to eat those whole foods. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Good fats are so important. And it's a myth that fat makes you fat. And it's a myth that that cholesterol needs to be suppressed without understanding why it's elevated. Because cholesterol, your body manufactures itself for a reason. And it's usually in response to other things going on in your body. And so you need to know the big picture. What's going on in your body before you're just randomly trying to suppress things? Symptoms are communication. And so you need to listen to your body so that you can help it heal. So, with that, I will close it out so you guys have a chance to go get a glass of water before you tune in with Kate in just a couple of minutes. But if I can help you, head over to the expo. I am there. Hit me up on AHS or find me through one of the links that I provided earlier. It's good to see you guys, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon.